Welcome to Battleground Politics. I'm Lauren Mayk, and I'm talking to Pennsylvania's Attorney General Dave Sunday as he marks 6 months on the job. We talk about safety, opioids, lawsuits against the Trump administration, and more. And our conversation comes as there are new developments with the SEPTA special prosecutor in Philadelphia, as the office starts to pursue cases involving crimes on SEPTA. Now, before we get to that interview, a reminder of how we got here. In December of 2023, Governor Josh Shapiro signed Act 40 into law. It says a special prosecutor can take control of cases on SEPTA that would have otherwise been handled by the city's district attorney. DA Larry Krasner sued to block the measure, arguing it's unconstitutional. A court ruled against him, and as of the time we're recording this, the case is still before the state Supreme Court. That special prosecutor was appointed by the previous attorney general. Now that things are up and running, we're talking to the current AG about how this new and still controversial system is operating. That's where our conversation starts. Welcome back to NBC 10 at Issue. It's great to see you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So I want to start by talking about something that is new with your office from previous, what we've had previously, which is the SEPTA special prosecutor, because there's been some news on that recently. And this is under your office. So I want to talk a little bit about how this is working. I understand from your office that the SEPTA special prosecutor is starting to take cases.
Yes.
How is this working? Are you signing off on the cases that they're taking? How involved are you?
So I'm not personally signing off on the cases, but I view leadership through the lens of collaboration, and so we all work together on these issues. My office works hand in hand with SEPTA, and to make sure that we are approaching this in a manner that is best for the people that are using the SEPTA system and for the people that work there. At the same time, we're working with the DA's office, and we're working with the Philadelphia Police Department, and we're doing everything we can to work as a group. So very simply, a lot of these decisions are collective decisions that are made in the best interest of the case itself and the victims in that case.
You mentioned working with the DA's office as well. That, of course, has been controversial in terms of how this would work, and it's a new system. What is the communication with the DA's office on this?
So the staff in my office work with the DA's office staff probably every single day. And so what I can say very simply is, the people that need to communicate in a proactive way to get the job done literally do it every single day. I think we mentioned this before, that these jobs are about outcomes for the community. They're not about any individual person. And so if you view this like any other job, like, we're going to get it done. And so that's what we're doing. So we communicate in particular with SEPTA on a daily basis when an issue comes up that potentially we could prosecute. We then obviously work. We let the Philly District Attorney's office know that we're interested in the case and we're going to adopt it, and then we work together to make that happen.
You said you're not personally signing off. Who does make the final call on which cases get chosen?
So we have, obviously we have a special appointed SEPTA prosecutor who oversees the unit itself. At the same time, we have other prosecutors in my office that work together with a lot of these issues. We also hired a full-time prosecutor, a mass transit prosecutor, to work on this team. And she's the individual that actually is working every single day to get that job done and to really make sure that communication is flawless. When we're looking at cases that involve violence to someone that's using the SEPTA system, violence with regard to an employee, like, those are the cases that we're really going to take a dive into and see if it's the right thing for us to prosecute. And we are doing that right now. Yeah,
I know the first case that you announced was a stabbing on July 4th.
Yes.
That was the first case that you highlighted on this. Initially, the appointed special prosecutor, Michael Untermeyer, when he first took over and I talked to him, he had told me that the plan was not to take the more serious cases, but this does seem pretty serious. This is a attempted murder.
So literally probably a week after I won my election, I was down here meeting with the SEPTA staff, and the purpose for that was to understand what their needs were and in what way can we utilize our resources, our skill set, to benefit SEPTA and to benefit the individuals that are using the SEPTA system. And so through those conversations, we've identified the types of cases that would be important for us to be a part of. And many of those cases, all of those cases involve essentially, the experience for people that are utilizing mass transit. be it a safety concern or something that does come up that we have to get involved with. And so we're working with the SEPTA Police Department on every single one of these incidents that comes up. The conversation takes place immediately. There's a discussion that happens. We then make that decision. We let the district attorney's office know, and then we work with them to get the job done.
Do you expect? Last time we talked about this, you hadn't taken office yet, and I know you wanted to kind of get your feet wet and get familiar with things. What is your approach to this? As I said, the special prosecutor had told me the plan was not to take the more serious cases. The SEPTA police chief has told me that they're pretty happy with the way the DA's office has handled some of those more serious cases. What is your plan? Is that your plan as well, to not take the more serious ones, or?
Well, what I would say to that is, my plan is to provide whatever support is needed for the safety of SEPTA. And so what I mean by that is not to be purposely vague. Very simply, as cases come up, we have that conversation with SEPTA police, with the police chief, to determine if it's a case that's appropriate for us. You have to understand that when you look at, when we have like a mass transit unit that prosecutes cases, just like literally any other search situation where we work in another jurisdiction, you have to do it collaboratively. Conversations take place. We talk about it. Hey, this is one that's good for us to take. We have the resources to work this one.
And what was it about the stabbing case that made you think this is the right direction?
It was just the way that the conversation started. As soon as it happened, the prosecutor spoke with SEPTA. And I don't want to go into, because there's some specific facts with regard to the investigation itself that I can't discuss. But I will say that after that conversation, we determined that it was appropriate for us to take that case.
Okay. Yep. This has been a long journey
it has been a long journey.
Point.
Yes, it has been.
And we are just getting to the point where you're starting to prosecute some cases. Are taxpayers getting their money's worth out of the special prosecutor's office?
Well, what I can say is this: I can't speak at all to what happened prior to me coming to this place and coming into this position as Attorney General. And so what I can say with regard to where we're at now is that we are working very, very hard to be there. We have over 40 investigations right now, close to 40 cases that we're handling, that we're prosecuting. And what I can say is my goal is, if our community is not safe, nothing else matters. And so with regard to taxpayer dollars, it is my job to make sure that we are utilizing that money to the greatest extent possible for public safety. And I am confident that with the path that we are on now, that's the place that we're going to be. And I have to tell you, as a career prosecutor, anytime you can get involved with any case and it's handled appropriately, that not only is the right thing for that victim, but it makes sure, it shows the community that there's people working very hard to make sure that they're safe.
Do you think that the special prosecutor should be extended beyond the December 2026 period that it's currently set for?
What I would say is, based on the way that we are our approach now, based on the collaboration that's happening, absolutely. I think that if it is extended, maybe with a few tweaks, I think that we will be in a place where we can really provide a tremendous value added to the citizens of Philadelphia and in the region that use SEPTA. I think that it's, if our communities aren't safe, nothing else matters, and you cannot put a price tag on public safety.
I want to ask you about some of the other things that you've been doing since you took office about 6 months ago. I know when we talked before, opioids were a big issue for you.
Huge issue.
What have you done in that realm? In particular, have you done anything in connection to Kensington, Philadelphia, which has been a big focus here?
So I have spent a lot of time speaking with Mayor Parker and with the Philadelphia Police Department, with Commissioner Bethel. Like, we are working together and collaborating every day. I have made one of the priorities in my office attacking the supply and the demand side as well of addiction. And so to that point, we have really surged resources into a lot of these challenges down here in the Southeast. We recently had a huge drug bust that was the Attorney General's office and the Philadelphia Police Department working together that resulted in almost $8 million worth of fentanyl that was in Kensington. And we're talking in total so far this year, we've, in collaboration with the Philly Police Department, removed probably somewhere in the ballpark of over 20 million, if not more, 20 million individual hits of fentanyl from the street. And so I ran on doing everything in my power to help people be safe. And I think we may have discussed this before, but you know, when I was a kid, if you made a mistake, you might have a hangover, right? I'm not saying that happened, but it's the way of the world. In today's world, if a child makes a mistake, they could die. Like, these drugs are so powerful and so potent, and that's why I'm doing everything I can to surge resources to help get those drugs off the street.
When it comes to addressing that issue, there's sort of the issue of the drugs themselves, and then there's the issue of how to help individuals.
Absolutely, 100%.
President Trump recently signed an executive order that would make it easier for local governments and states to commit people for treatment. Is that something that you think would be useful on the ground?
Listen, what I'm focusing on right now with regard to useful on the ground primarily is doing what I can to increase access to treatment for people, in particular people that are connected with the criminal justice system. We have this amazing initiative in the Attorney General's office that started long before I got here that I'm embracing, and we're doing everything we can with it, called the Law Enforcement Treatment Initiative, where what happens is when we arrest someone or come into contact with someone, we do what we can to help connect them with the resources that they need to go into treatment. And so I understand, respect, and proactively pushing treatment anywhere we can do it. Okay. I haven't read that executive order, and what I'm focusing on the collaborative things we're doing here in Pennsylvania to get that done.
One of the things that has also been happening during your time as Attorney General, there have been some lawsuits against the Trump administration that also involve Pennsylvania, but they didn't come from your office. It's been the governor who has been joining those lawsuits. How do you feel about the governor joining those lawsuits and doing something that would otherwise be your job?
Well, I would say to start with that it may not otherwise be my job. Under the Commonwealth Attorneys Act, the governor has every right to file a lawsuit as a governor in many different, in almost all of these issues. And so,
do you agree with him? Do you agree with the lawsuits that he's filed?
To be honest, a lot of the lawsuits that he's filed, we didn't even assess, because there are other things.
Didn't you have to defer to him to do it?
No. In Pennsylvania, the governor has by a matter of right, the governor can file a lawsuit as the governor on behalf of state agencies. And so it's important for people to understand it. And I think actually, our divided government, in particular in Pennsylvania, so I'm the only Republican Attorney General literally in the country that works with a Democrat governor and a Democrat House. There's no one else. And that's really, I think, unique. And it's reflective kind of who we are in Pennsylvania. And so to that point, everybody has a lane and they have a job to do. In Pennsylvania, we have one of the largest criminal prosecution sections in the country here in Pennsylvania. We also have the third largest consumer protection division. And so every AG in America has different job duties and responsibilities. I ran on public safety because if our communities, like I said, if they're not safe, nothing else matters.
What was the decision-making process for you, though, in saying, okay, the governor can file these lawsuits, but I don't want to be a part of them?
Well, I mean,
some of them involve money for the Department of Education,
so a lot
for example.
Of those, right, and I appreciate that. So a lot of those lawsuits pertain to what the governor's alleging to be essentially like broken contracts, essentially. And so those are government
money that the federal government is not giving.
And so those are government agencies. The governor on his own decided that was something that he wanted to be a part of. That's something that he wanted to do. And as a governor, he has every right to do that. I can't stop him from doing that.
Would you have wanted to?
I'm not going to answer that question because each one of those lawsuits. So to begin with, when you look at these lawsuits, I will say this. A lot of the lawsuits that we see across the country with attorneys general from both sides of the aisle can be very performative. And what you've seen, I think, over the last decade to maybe 15 years, you've seen this huge increase in all of these random lawsuits coming out of attorney general's offices where they will go have a press conference, they'll go make a big hay out of it, and then a lot of those lawsuits, they kind of just go away. And so to that point, I made it very clear when I ran for this job that I will focus every single day on the core competencies of the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office. And that includes what we've already talked about, to further include child predators, people that are every day online trying to get to our children, human traffickers, organized retail theft, the smash and grabs down here in Center City, Philadelphia. We're going after those large organizations that are doing that. We have tons of unbelievably important work to do in this office, and I will not lose sight of that work so that I can go get a press hit or put out a tweet.
Before we run out of time, there is one sort of case that is still out there, though, that Pennsylvania, a lawsuit Pennsylvania has not joined. New Jersey has, and has been, I think, out front on it, which is the birthright citizenship situation. What are your plans on that? And
well, currently there's a nationwide injunction on that, so that's going to be settled through litigation.
So, are you okay with the Trump administration's new policy that they want to put into effect on that would restrict birthright citizenship?
And I will tell you right now, there are probably, a billion decisions that come out of other places that people ask me for my opinion on. And I've been very clear about the fact that I am going to focus every day on my job as Attorney General. That's a decision that the president made. I have no idea, what created that decision. He's the president of the United States. He has every right to make the decisions that he wants to make. So I'm not going to comment on those decisions.
Does that mean you would just never challenge him?
No, I definitely did not say that.
I'm just trying to clarify.
Did not say that.
Because I don't want to take.
What people need to understand is.
I don't want to misunderstand what you're trying to say.
And so what I'm saying is this: whenever something comes up, and we live in this world where people want like instant gratification. Again, there's a lot of people that want to do a press conference or they want to do a social media hit. But the reality is these lawsuits and these legal issues aren't things that you can have a knee-jerk reaction on. They have to be evaluated. There has to be an entire process in place where you study the law and you evaluate whether or not that lawsuit would be beneficial. One of the things that we have done in my office, that I have personally done, is advocate directly to the White House on issues that have come up in Pennsylvania. And we live in a state.
What kind of issues can you?
Well, we live in a state right now, again, where we have a Democrat governor who's doing what he wants to do. My office literally works every single day with the governor's office. We work together literally every single day. And one of the most important jobs in the Attorney General's office, and remember, there's by statute, every single day, my office defends the state and the governor's office in lawsuits. And so, there isn't some unlimited amount of resources out there for all kinds of other things. If it's getting done in other ways, then that's something that I think is important to taxpayers as well. And so everybody from our Republican United States Senator Dave McCormick to our Democrat Senator John Fetterman, to the governor, to the Attorney General, to the treasurer, we all collaborate on a lot of different issues literally every single day. And I think that's something that Pennsylvanians should be very, very proud of, to be honest.
I know we're out of time. I want to stick to that, but just to follow up, can you give us any examples of ways in which you've communicated to the White House to advocate for Pennsylvania?
What I would say is, there has been many issues. And what I would not want to do is divulge private conversations that I've had that have gotten the job done because
they were successful. Can I ask you that? Were those efforts that you made successful?
Some of them were, I believe, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, hopefully we can talk about that another time. Attorney General Dave Sunday, thanks so much for your time. It was great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
After that interview, the Attorney General did point to one of the things he's advocated for with the White House. He joined a letter with other AGs concerned about a proposal to bar states from regulating AI for 10 years. That measure did not go forward. The governor's office sent me a statement regarding those lawsuits I talked about with the Attorney General. A spokesman said, quote, "From day one of the Trump administration, Governor Shapiro has worked tirelessly to protect Pennsylvania taxpayers when the federal government doesn't follow the law. Pennsylvanians put their trust in the governor to stand up for them, and the governor has used his legal authority to deliver Pennsylvanians what they're owed. As a result of the governor taking legal action, $2.8 billion in threatened federal funding owed to Pennsylvanians has been restored," end quote. That does it for this installment of Battleground Politics. You can find more episodes on NBC10.com, our NBC10 YouTube channel, or wherever you get your podcasts.